So this train, the song was really born out of the guitar part. And one day I was sitting around, and as guitar players do, trying to imagine and emulate the sound of something that that I wanted to replicate. And that's a train. I've spent a lot of time traveling by train with Canadian Pacific Railway, as well as through Europe by train. And one of the things I really love is when a train hits a certain speed and holds a constant speed. And the way that the tracks, because they're set at these equal intervals of sections of track, the way there are these internal rhythms that start to show up. And I'm really drawn into those things that are in our environment all the time. Sometimes we take them for granted, but they're simple little things. They're sort of these rhythmic backdrop elements in our lives. So I was trying to emulate what I thought was the sound of a train, and my friend Carmen was coming over to write with me that day. And when she got to the house, she came in and she said, "What is that?" And I said, "Well, I'm trying to make this train sound." And I was singing these first two lines. This train won't run on money. This train won't run on blood. And so that's how the thing started. But this little groove. And then the line. This train won't run on money. This train won't run on blood. And I had that much. And when Carmen came in, she said, "Well, we got to finish that." And I was like, "It just feels like an exercise." But I'm glad we did finish it. And so as we dug into it, I started to realize that, the narrator voice in it was really kind of a global view of, sort of the gospel point of view that, spirit is within all of us, and the material world and our material experience doesn't mean much or have much effect on that at all. And that's what I wanted the song to have, and that's what Carmen really brought to the tune as well, was kind of, let's zoom out and take a global view of this journey we're on as humans, and where it's going. So the verses support that, and so does the bridge as it goes by. And it's sort of, the song, the verses, this train is bound, won't run on money. This train won't run on blood. This train is bound for glory. This train is bound for love. And that bound for love thing is really, I think Sister Rosetta Tharpe, God rest her, she really put that into the main frame of our thinking in the 30s with that This Train is Bound for Glory, a song that I hadn't realized we were referencing so heavily in this tune until someone pointed it out to me. But I think, the baton is handed forward on these things. And certainly, if you believe in the organic theory of music, that you are what you hear, it does become a sum of your experience, and does get expressed through you in that way in your own writing. So I love the open chords in this song. I love how the legato line and the held line of the melody is over the staccato guitar part. This train won't run on money. To me, those two elements work so well together because they're in fact so different from each other. And so the guitar really is creating this groove and this churning sort of mass that the singers can just sort of glance over the top of. And that continues throughout the tune. So the other thing that the guitar does in this song is it uses some held notes that just occur rather infrequently, but there are these little spices that hang out there, and they tie back to what the melody's doing by also being these legato held notes. So we'll get more into the actual detail of this song coming up next. One of the interesting things about the song form that is this train is that there isn't really a chorus per se in the way that we think of a repeating structure that comes around that has, the hook that we would sing, or that, ostensibly would be the most memorable part of the song. I guess in conventional Western songwriting, that's the approach. But this song doesn't necessarily employ that approach. Instead, after the verse, we go to a B section. And the B section just simply changes up the musical structure a bit, but also the narrator sort of takes this different sort of view. After saying that really we're all bound for love, it gets back to the human side of our journey, the frailty, and also sort of, our nature to complain a bit. And it merely says that, we can remain alone in the doorway, half in the rain, chained to the past. We can complain all that we want to, but this train is rolling past. And that gets us to the next verse. But the way that happens is like this. We can remain alone in the doorway, half in the rain, chained to the past. We can complain all that we want to, but this train is rolling past. And what I like about that is it breaks up the rhythm of the song a little bit. It also takes the melody in a different direction. And the way that it turns around at the end gets us right back to the head, dropping in at C again. So it serves a couple different functions there to both give the narrator a chance to explain in more depth what the point of the song is and dig in and reveal some things to us. But also, it sort of breaks up the chug of the train just for a second while maintaining the same time signature. It just gives us another little piece of candy on the ride, if you will. So I like that section a lot. That brings us to the next verse. The narrator kind of digs in and starts to line up some of the things about the human experience in aggregate that sort of support the spirit train that we're all on, meaning every single human being experiences love and loss and pain in great quantity while they're here. And so how does that factor into this ride that we're on? And how do we get back to what the train is doing as it's moving down the tracks? The way that Carmen and I got to this was to go back to that main groove and the next verse. All the love, human persistence, all the pain, tears and joy. I can hear her in the distance, feel the rumble of her voice. So the rumble of her voice is obviously the train in this case. And so we've gone through the human thing back to the global thing again. So after the second verse, we're back at the B section again. And the important thing with what's happening lyrically here is that we don't disrupt the momentum of the forward motion of the tune. And we need to feel a transfer of time. That needs to be evident, especially in a song like this, which is all about motion. So the bridge takes us to the train as it's working its way through, over hill and dale, if you will, and how its path really is determined by something far greater than us. And so that's the nature of the lyric here, and the guitar sort of climbs along with it. So, across the plains and through the city, from the mountain's highest peak, this train is bound for glory, for all the love in God's dream. For love. So that gets us through the whole bridge. And what I love about that bridge section is the tension that's created through that minor phrase at the very top. It lets us feel a moment that not all is resolved, not all is safe, not all is warm and fuzzy on this journey that we're on. And with all the joy comes, an equal serving of difficulty as well. So that's really the entire tune. And it gives us, sort of a nice ride based on the locomotion of a train and, with a good heaping helping of spiritual energy in there as well.